What's going on, everybody? It's Will. Today I'm going to show you how to make babka. It's an Eastern European bread. A lot of people class it as a dessert, me included. It's fantastic, but you can also have a savoury. Today I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate babka, which is going to be an absolute banger. You're going to love it. If you've never had or heard of babka before, oh boy, I'm about to blow your mind. So without further ado, let's do this. So to make a really delicious chocolate babka at home, it's really simple to do. It looks complicated, but trust me, it's not. It only consists of three things. The dough, which in our case we're going to make a beautiful rich brioche dough that's going to be nice and soft so you can just tear it once it's baked. And then we're going to make a really delicious chocolate spread for the filling, along with a simple sugar syrup just to brush over the top of the babka once it comes out the oven. And here's some great news, you can make everything ahead of time, so when you come to putting it together, there's no stress at all. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the dough as it takes the longest. That makes sense. First, heat up 150 ml of whole milk to around 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. Then mix in 10 grams of dried fast active yeast. Give it a good stir to make sure the yeast is nicely dissolved and incorporated. Then cover with some cling film and set it to one side to give it time to activate. It will take about 5 to 10 minutes. Now get yourself a nice large bowl and combine together 530 grams of all-purpose flour, in other words plain flour, 100 grams of caster sugar and a teaspoon of salt, equaling to around 5 grams. And now just give it a quick mix to evenly distribute all them ingredients. Now to your yeasty milky mixture, whatever you want to call it, you want to crack in 3 whole eggs, then make a well in the flour and pour it straight in there. And now mix it all together until it forms a rough dough, then transfer the dough to your bench and start kneading the dough until it's nice and smooth. Now once the dough is smooth, you're going to start to slowly incorporate 150 grams of softened unsalted butter into the dough. But add the butter in stages, don't add it all at once, just so that the butter incorporates into the dough more evenly. Now once the butter is incorporated, you're going to start to do some slap and folds. And to do that, it is very simple. You're going to grab the dough from the front and back, pick it up, slap off the bench. Hence the name, slap and fold. And you're going to continue doing this for about a minute or two, or until the dough turns nice and smooth and elastic. Just like this. Then you're just going to tightly wrap the dough in cling film and place it on a tray and put it into the fridge overnight to allow it to slowly proof. That's going to develop a lot of flavour. You could also freeze this dough, as brioche dough freezes very well. But remember, the day before you want to bake the babka, remove the dough from the freezer and place it in the fridge overnight so that it's got time to defrost. Now the dough is done, our next job is to make this delicious chocolate spread. It is really simple to make. So in a saucepan you want to combine together 120 grams of unsalted butter along with 180 grams of dark chocolate, which is roughly chopped. But make sure you use a good quality chocolate with a high cocoa percentage, 70% or higher, because better chocolate will equal a much better chocolate spread in flavour and in texture. And then place onto the gas over medium-low heat, stirring every so often until the butter and the chocolate are fully melted. And then remove from the heat, as you don't want to burn the chocolate, because then the chocolate would taste really bitter and not pleasant at all. And right after, add in 70 grams of icing sugar and 42 grams of cocoa powder. And do me a favour, make sure the cocoa powder is unsweetened. Trust me, it makes a hell of a difference. And then whisk it together until it turns into a nice smooth, glossy, homogeneous paste, just like this. Now you're going to lightly grease a 9" by 5" non-stick loaf tin with some unsalted butter. Then you're going to lightly dust it with some plain flour. And that's your tin prepared. Just place that on one side. Now ready to roll the dough out, lightly dust your work surface with some flour. And then place the dough on your work surface and cut it in half, as this will make 2 generous sized babkas. And just wrap the other half in cling film nice and tightly so no air can get it. And just place that in the fridge while we prepare the first bit of dough. If you don't want to make another babka, just freeze another piece of dough. It will last in the freezer for up to a month. And you want to roll the dough out into a 38 cm by 25 cm rectangle. I forgot to mention this, but whilst you're rolling the dough out, just keep checking underneath the dough to make sure it's not sticking to the bench. If it is starting to stick to your bench, just stop rolling for a second and just lightly adjust your bench with some flour. Then continue rolling as usual. Once your dough is nicely rolled out, you're going to add half your chocolate spread, which will equal approximately 206 grams, and you want to spread it out as evenly as possible. Making sure you leave around an inch border around the outside, then brush some water around the edges. This is going to act like glue. Now at this stage, we're ready to start rolling the babka up. You want to make sure that it's properly tucked in, that it's rolled up nice and tightly, because by doing it that way, it will make your babka look a whole lot better, because you'll get a nice spiral effect running throughout, which is what you're looking for. And also, whilst you're rolling it up, make sure whilst you go on, you dust off all the excess flour. And then just continue rolling it up until you get to the end and making sure the seam side is underneath. And now using a serrated blade, just trim off the excess. And now would you just admire that cross section, by the way. And exactly the same, using the serrated blade, you want to gently cut it off lengthwise, doing a sawing action. You want to be very careful, take your time, slow and steady wins the race. You do not want to be too aggressive. You don't want to tear the dough. And then place the two strips of dough side by side, the layers facing upwards like this. Now we're just going to do a simple braid. This is not complicated in the slightest. So it's as simple as this, place the right over the left and do that same sequence until you get to the end. And now carefully lift it up and place in the prepared loaf tin, and then loosely cover with some cling film and place in the oven with just a light turned on and allow it to prove for about 2 hours until puffed up and double in size. And look at this beauty, that looks fantastic. And now once the babka is proved, you're going to preheat the oven to 170 degrees Celsius and bake it for 25 to 30 minutes until golden brown, or just stick a skewer right into the center of the babka and it should come out clean. If there's any raw dough clinging to the skewer when you remove it, it's not cooked, just cook it for a bit longer. But make sure you don't overbake it, because when you overbake brioche, the texture changes for the worse. So now whilst the babka is in the oven baking, we're going to make a simple sugar syrup. So combine together 160 milliliters of water with 260 grams of caster sugar. Whisk it together to make sure the sugar is nicely hydrated in the water. Now stop whisking and take it to a gentle simmer and simmer it for about 5 to 10 minutes or until the sugar is completely dissolved. And then remove from the heat and allow it to cool down to room temperature. Now once the babka has been removed from the oven, immediately brush on half of your simple sugar syrup, which should be at room temperature by the way, and this will do enough for 2 babkas. If you wonder what the syrup does, for one, it gives a nice colour and shine, and 2, it helps keep the babka nice and moist, which makes it last longer. And now all that needs to be done is to let the babka cool down a bit in the tin just to firm up slightly, as this is much best served warm. Then unmold and enjoy. And there you go guys, there's a delicious chocolate babka recipe. I hope you give this one a go. It's fantastic. It's so rich, fluffy, soft. It just tears with your hands. It's amazing. If you make it for your friends and family, I can guarantee one thing, it won't last long because they will love it to pieces. They will eat it in a matter of minutes. Once you have one bite, you just want more and more and more. But anyways, if you enjoyed today's video or you learned something, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.